So I wanted to give you a few more ideas of things to think about while Venus is retrograde. The first one is this. If you're watching this video series, doing this Udemy course because you're having a bit of a love life nightmare at the moment, try not to panic. The fact is that a little crisis in your love life, especially when Venus is retrograde or just before, can actually be quite helpful. The reason is that sometimes we need a little reminder, a little prod from the universe to start thinking about the Venus retrograde questions I've been going on and on about, which are things like, how much does someone matter to me? How much do I care about this person? Have I been too tough? Have I been too soft? Have I been forgiving enough? Do I need to ask for forgiveness? Sometimes a crisis brings these questions to the fore, okay? And actually, even though what happens when there's a little crisis going on in a relationship, even though it can feel really, really difficult, usually there are big life lessons in there. And that's why the upset is actually happening on a karmic level. We've agreed to go into this upset with our partner, our friend, whoever, because we know that we have a lesson to learn. On the other hand, it can also be a time where we just feel really sad, really unhappy, and if that's the case, it doesn't really do us much good. So the idea is to try and look for the opportunity in all adversity, and that includes in any love life problems which are coming up for you now. I also want to say that all this information here doesn't just apply to a current romantic relationship. It can actually apply to a situation with your ex, whether or not you're still regularly in touch, but especially if you're still regularly in touch, perhaps if you've got children, for example, there can be crises, which again are just trying to help you to work through your upsets, okay? It can be with a co-worker, it can be with a family member. It's all love. Number 2, and now for a question straight out of 1955 Women's Weekly. How can I fulfill my lover's needs? Now, actually, it's a bit ridiculous to say that's a question from Women's Weekly 1955, because the truth is men and women equally can be asking themselves this question. How can I better fulfill my lover's needs? This is actually a really important question to ask yourself as Venus is going backwards. If you're attached, it's really a time for an adjustment. So think, how can I be a better partner? What else can I do to make my lover happy? What else can I do to fulfill my lover's needs? Now, of course, it's not just about sexuality. It can be lots of different things. Your partner might need more time to themselves, for example. Your partner might need more support. Your partner might want to go off and study something, and maybe you need to offer up the fact that you're willing to look after the house or the family or whatever else needs looking after while they go off and do whatever it is they need to do. So I think especially as women, we've been taught in the last few years that it's a bit sort of non-feministic to say, how can I fulfill my partner's needs? But at the end of the day, relationships are actually about loving your partner, whether you're a man or a woman, you're gay, straight, bisexual, whatever. It's about loving someone. And Venus retrograde is a really, really important time to reflect on love and thus to think about questions like this. So ask yourself, what can I do to better fulfill my partner's needs? And I think this question is so important that I've actually created a little PDF which you can access from this page and print out and fill out. And once you've ascertained what it is you need to do to be a better partner, you will be on your way to being a better partner. And I say again, remember, love is not about being in our egos and about one person trying to have the upper hand over the other person, or trying to be the one who says, well, I'm the one who suffers the most in this relationship, and so on. Love relationships are actually about us learning how to grow in a relationship. We need self-love and we need love of the other, and relationships help us with both. So try and be conscious in your relationships. Really try and get back to love, as I've called this course, because it really is a time for us to remember we are with the people we are with because there is love between us, or at least hopefully because there is love between us. Number 3 actually leads on perfectly from what I was just talking about. Remember why you fell in love, okay? Remember, why did you fall in love? What was it about your partner that made you fall in love with them, okay? And again, I consider this such an important question. It's included on the PDF that goes with this talk, because writing down why you fell in love with your partner will help you remember why you're with your partner, okay? And it will reactivate those feelings, and reactivating the love is very much something that we can do when Venus is going backwards. Number 4 is for singles and couples. It's a really important thing to remember as well. There is more to love than just romantic love. So as Venus goes backwards over these 42 days, it's really important to look around your life and say to yourself, who do I really love? Who really, really matters to me? Okay? And again, I'm going to ask you to put the top 5 people that you really love down on the list on the PDF. Again, reason being because when we write things down, it really brings it up from our consciousness. It's really important, especially if you're single and you're thinking, you know, I don't have any love in my life. Well, actually, you probably do. You probably have the love of your best friend. You probably have the love of your family. You probably have the love of people in your life who maybe you've actually been taking a little bit for granted because you've been so intent on finding romantic love. Now, that doesn't happen to everybody. Not everybody is like that. But if you feel that you don't have any love in your life, it probably means you are taking someone's love for granted. So have a think about who in your life really matters to you and do something for them. Show them that you love them too. Number 5. This is the least romantic point on this talk that I'm doing today, but it's actually really relevant, and it's something worth thinking about as Venus retrogrades. It's something an old boyfriend of mine actually once called romantic pre-selection, okay? So very unromantic. But what he was talking about is this. It's really important who we get involved with. So we have to apply some kind of romantic pre-selection. In other words, when you meet someone new, either alarm bells go off or they don't. I'm not talking about alarm bells going off because you think they're so wonderful. I'm talking about alarm bells because you think, oh, here comes trouble. Now, if you are really ready for a committed relationship, and this is something to think about as Venus goes backwards, then you're going to have to be very smart when it comes to romantic pre-selection. There's no point in getting involved with someone you know from the outset is going to be trouble. Okay, so getting involved with someone who's actually not available, big warning sign. Getting involved with someone who has a substance abuse problem, big warning sign. Getting involved with someone who clearly has an anger management problem, big warning sign. They're the obvious ones, but you know what I'm talking about. From here on in, if you're single and you're looking for a relationship, from here on in, practice that most unromantic thing, romantic pre-selection. Think about who you get involved with before you get too involved. The warning signs are always, always there. I'm just going to tell you one little personal story. I had this one boyfriend who turned out to be probably my most difficult boyfriend I've ever had. It was the most terrible relationship I've ever had. It actually changed my life and made me realize that I was looking for love in all the wrong places, so to speak. But I remember on about our 3rd or 4th date, he came over to my house with a bottle of champagne in his hand. And he was joking as he came in, we were talking, I don't remember what we were saying, and then he went, yes, I'm a pathological liar. And I thought, yes, funny, let's open the champagne. And guess what? He turned out to be a pathological liar. People tell us who they are. Keep your ears open at the start of a relationship and see what they're telling you about themselves.